that equals value to the advertiser. So what does that really mean? Imagine this scenario. I visit the New York Times website. I see an ad for a Ford Taurus, you know. That's the paid impression. There's something really engaging about that ad, and I shared that message with a friend. That's the organic impression. When that friend then engages with that ad in some fashion, we get the organic engagement. And that together is what's valuable to Ford, or in my case, valuable to me. When I talk to media companies in the future and they want me to buy advertising on their websites, I'm going to be asking them more and more, don't just tell me about the paid impression, tell me what's the likelihood of there being organic impressions, organic engagement, and let's put a number around that, because that's the value I'm looking for from you. And that's fundamentally what we are seeing here is the display advertising world meeting the social media world and linking together. Now, a few of you may feel that when we think about display advertising, it doesn't work, it's yesterday, and I sort of hinted at that myself too. But there's one simple thing I think we must remember, though, about display advertising. The reach you get through display advertising is unmatched. You can't get that through social media today. I mean, it's to the tunes of, you know, there are like different numbers of zeros at the end of the impressions or the engagement. But display advertising is only valuable if it's used to jumpstart social engagement. And as an advertiser, I want to know the value, and I want to buy based on that whole ecosystem, not just on the paid impression. This is just an example of our democracy program, something we did this summer for our Mountain Dew brand. Basically, it was really interesting. We asked consumers across America to help us figure out what should be the next flavor of Mountain Dew, or a special flavor of Mountain Dew. And we had these buses driving across country with tasting sessions. We were describing them online. Consumers could vote on them. Incredibly interesting and incredibly successful. But the most interesting piece of it all was we spent a small amount of money online to promote it through display advertising, and then we got to the tune of 8 times value through social engagement, because that paid investment sparked a lot of deep engagement. So it was really a great example of the model. Something else we're doing that's blurring these worlds together. This is a study a test we ran with Facebook just 2 weeks ago. First of its kind. A few of you may have read about it in some of the US trade publications like Adweek. Something that they had never done before, we had never done before, but it was based on the premise on big publisher websites. So this is the MTV site. Imagine if you have the banner ad, but when you come to the page and you see the banner ad, you see 2 things. You see the Facebook like button, and you see pictures of your friends automatically. Now, that's extremely interesting, because what it's saying is, I like this Facebook, I like Mountain Dew, me as an individual, as a person, and so should you. If you're logged into Facebook from elsewhere on the web, it automatically recognizes that and puts in photographs of your friends. Where it gets even more interesting is that ad unit is not very expensive for me to push to tens of millions of users overnight. You know, something which when you're doing something in social media alone, it's not always easy to reach that. We've been running this test. We're still waiting for the final numbers. But what we do know is, just through this unique test alone, our like count or our fan count on Facebook has increased over the span of the weekend when it started running by 200,000. So incredibly exciting, incredibly interesting. Key to it is, you know, people need to like the brand at the end of the day, and they need to care for the creative as well. But it's another example of how we're bringing those worlds together. So some key implications of this. 1, display media still has its place. Don't fight it, but leverage it more strategically. The impression plus model can potentially be the future for display media. 3, it gives you leverage if you're a marketer talking to media companies online. 4, it results in looking at your brand targets in different ways and reaching them more through your consumers, like that Facebook experiment as well. So that's the second idea, the evolution of display media by linking it with the world of social media. Third idea, time to turn brand marketing upside down. And each time I present this, I worry that I'll be heckled or kicked out of the room or something like that. I hope you'll be kind to me. I'm a visitor to your country. It's what I call being done by building out social voices. So for a long time, marketing has been about strong brand voices. Your singular company voice, it reflects the brand personality very well. Everybody follows it. It appears across all brand touch points. It's usually unique to the company, not always. It's sometimes manifested in a person, and it's used everywhere from signage to ads. That's what we know to be your brand voice. Every big brand has that. When you think of Armani in your head, you think of a very specific image. They make sure it's that one image that you think of whenever you think of Armani. Arguably, it's the same when you think of Pepsi or Mountain Dew or our products. However, I feel with the explosion of social media, brand marketing is changing, and having strong brand voices is not enough. You also need very strong social voices. These are multiple authentic individual voices representing your brand. They are transparent and Googleable. How many of you think Googleable is a real word? It's made up. Please don't look it up. Please don't tell my mom. It's fake. But the point is, when we interact with a brand online, we want to know that there's a real person behind it. We want to be able to take that name, put it into Google, and see sort of the fingerprints of that person in the digital ecosystem. Engaging and conversational, appear where the touch points are, unique to the person, not the company, and manifested in real people. That's what social voices are all about. And they need to be used only by real people. Now, we've all had spokespersons or spokespeople for companies. What I'm talking about here is multiple authentic real people. Not just the celebrities, but people, many, many more people speaking on behalf of your brand. And, so in the case of PepsiCo around the world, we're something like 300,000 people. Each person to their own social network can be the brand voice for Pepsi. And if they became the brand voice for Pepsi, you can bet our marketing would get a lot easier and a lot cheaper. And historically, we as marketers have felt that's wrong. You can't let anyone talk to consumers. With social media, it's happening regardless. It's worth allowing. A good company that's really exploring this and taking this further is Best Buy. This is how they used to market. Product-centric, discount-centric, price-oriented. They started experimenting with social media, starting with Barry Judge, their CMO, and they were a former client of mine, playing around, exploring the space. Then in the last 2 years, they decided to change it all completely. They developed what is called their 12th force, where they said every employee is a face of the brand, can be doing customer service for their brand. So what's so fascinating is on Twitter, through 12th force, you can talk to their employees and get customer service, feedback, ideas. But not just that. When you walk into a Best Buy itself, you'll see posters of these actual employees. So their brand is about real people all of a sudden. When you watch their TV ads, it's about their real employees talking about their products. And that's something that social media has done, is it's forced a certain kind of realness into marketing, and I think we're going to see more of that. What's right for PepsiCo brands is, we're figuring that out. It varies, of course, brand to brand and category to category. So what are the... Oh, this is a slow build. As you can tell, I like slides that build. They're not neat, but they're fun. What are some of the key implications of this? One, people connect more with people online. And that's a fundamental shift in marketing. For any digital effort, we have to recognize that. Secondly, brands need to become a lot more authentically social. I don't think we're there as yet. We still have a way to go. That equals value to the advertiser. So what does that really mean? Imagine this scenario. I visit the New York Times website. I see an ad for a Ford Taurus, you know. That's the paid impression. We get the organic engagement. And that together is what's valuable to Ford, or in my case, valuable to me. When I talk to media companies in the future and they want me to buy advertising on their websites, there's something really engaging about that ad, and I share that message with a friend. That's the organic impression. When that friend then engages with that ad in some fashion, value I'm looking for from you. And that's fundamentally what we are seeing here is the display advertising world meeting the social media world and linking together. Now, a few of you may feel that when I'm going to be asking them more and more, don't just tell me about the paid impression, tell me what's the likelihood of there being organic impressions, organic engagement, and let's put a number around that, because that's the value.